first thing I want to do is say thank you to Brightbot for having me here today to talk about one of the questions I get asked about more than anything, and that's, can I get approved for disability? My name is Julie Jo Kohler. I'm a patient, not a doctor, so for any medical advice, always go to your physician. During the presentation, your mics are going to be muted. They'll be unmuted afterwards for questions and answers. Feel free to ask me anything. If you come up with questions later, you can go to brightbot.com and record your message. It's a really neat setup. You'll get a message back with an answer. Keep a pen and paper nearby in case you have a question so you don't forget it. And let's get started. Okay. One sec. One second. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. The big question, can I qualify for disability? This is the question everybody asks. There's a number of requirements that determine eligibility, but the big answer to the question is yes. If you are disabled, if you cannot work, if you cannot do the job that you've normally done, you can qualify. And I'm going to talk about what the requirements are and some tips as you go through the process and what the process is. Okay. Now, don't worry about reading the chart. I really just put it there as a go-to. How much do you have to have worked to qualify? And that's the big question. Everybody wonders, well, what if I haven't worked enough? Or what if I haven't worked enough lately? The way that I'm going to be talking about disability mainly here in the US, but the things that I'm telling you and we're talking about are good for disability everywhere. So they're good things to know if anybody is wondering about that. Okay, so the way it works is your earnings are converted into credits to determine if you've worked enough. And in 2016, every year it changes, it takes $1,300 in income to qualify for one credit. That equals one work credit, and it's done by quarters. So if you've worked, if you've earned $5,216, you've earned 4 work credits. Each year's different, and the older you are, the more work credits you are going to need. So in other words, if you are, if you're between 24 and 31, you must have worked half the time since you've turned 21. So that's pretty much how that works out. There are 2 tests that they use. They call 2 credit tests that they want you to pass to qualify. One is called your recent work test, and that's where you add up the credits. And the other one is called your duration of work test. So, for example, if you are under 24, you must have worked at least 1.5 years in the 3-year period before and leading up immediately to your disability. And that means you have to have earned at least 6 credits. The only exemption to that is if you're blind. But do not worry, because if you haven't earned these credits, this is for SSDI. There's SSI, which is based on a totally different system. If you haven't earned enough to qualify for SSD, you may still qualify for SSDI. They're both under Social Security Administration programs, and SSI has no work requirement. So it's based on financial need and disability. So don't fret. I know a lot of people panic. A lot of people think there's nothing out there for them if you haven't worked enough, but there is. So hang tight. How much money can I make and still qualify? Who here thinks that you have to have 0 income in order to qualify for disability? I know I did years ago. It's not true. You can make as much as $1,170 a month and still qualify for disability. That's a big number. So it's very good to know. The way that you've made that money, most people stop working after they apply. It usually goes hand in hand with your work hours are reduced and you're down to just about nothing. And that's how most cases end up going. But you can make money when you apply. You can make as much as $1,170, and this goes for both SSI and SSDI. So good to know. Real quick, some of the differences between SSI and SSDI. With SSI, you can make $1,170. If you make more in both of them, it's called substantial gainful activity. You will hear that term a lot, SGA. And the Social Security Administration deems you as being able to work. So you want to be familiar with that. Some of the differences, SSI, where you're being approved based on financial need and your disability, also considers your entire household income and your assets. So that would include your spouse. So you need to be aware of that. So that's for a whole household. If you're blind, you can make as much as $1,950 a month. SSA, both of them, they pretty much look at how much you make an hour too, because if you're making a low wage, but you're working 40 hours and you're making under that, they still consider that if you're working 40 hours, you can work. So you just want to keep that in mind. Oh, what conditions are eligible for Social Security? There is a very little known secret. You can Google, you can go online to SSA.gov, and they have what's called their Blue Book. Just like the Kelley Blue Book is for cars, SSA.gov is the Blue Book of diseases that qualify for disability. If you want to know if your disease, and most of them are, is covered for disability, you go to that Blue Book. Looks like this. I don't try to read these. I blew these up just to give you an idea of what the Blue Book looks like. You'll see for adult listings, Part A, they have broken down all of the different disorders. They have muscular, skeletal system, respiratory disorders, skin disorders, endocrine, just like that. They have a new one this year, and that's immune system disorders, which is good. It's good that it was added. So you will start here You will go to the disorder that is relevant to what you're looking to see if you can get approved. And once you do that, you get a page that looks like this. And this page will tell you exactly what they are looking for. In other words, they are looking for, you have to have 2 dysfunctions. If you've got an autoimmune disorder, and a specific one, it will say that you need to have it in more than 1 limb or more severe. You need to read the details to see if you qualify for that. They're pretty self-explanatory. They're not in medical terms, so they're pretty easy to understand. And that will give you a guideline. And this is the same laws that an attorney will look at when they talk to you to see if you're disabled if you go to one. So this is where you want to check. One other thing, when you're approved for SSI, they sign you up for Medicaid and food stamps. And the good thing about that is in states that don't have adults on Medicaid, you will get it. So that's a big help there. And that Social Security income is funded by general fund taxes. So it's distributed and headed by the Social Security Administration, but it's funded from a trust fund, and Social Security Disability Insurance (SSDI) comes from your FICA. So it's when you work, it's the money that you put in. Okay. Some states will also offer extras. Let's get that there. All right. Where do you apply? You can apply online, ssa.gov. It's pretty easy to find. You just Google it. The forms are long. They're maybe 15 pages, maybe more. They will ask you for your medical records. It will take you a while to get everything together, your birth certificate, your ID, your medical records, notes from your doctor, whatever you can get. The form itself asks you questions like, what activities can you still do? Do you need help during certain things? Do you need help dressing? Do you need help brushing your hair, showering, taking care of yourself, taking care of your family? It will be like that, and it's long. You can get help to fill out these forms from the Social Security Administration. You can go to your office either by appointment or walk-in. Sit down with one of their people and they will help you fill the forms out. There are also, most states have nonprofit or sliding scale legal help that sometimes they'll help you with that. So there is help, and you can always have a spouse or a family member fill out the forms for you if need be. So there's help, but they can be done by you. You do not need an expert or a lawyer to fill out the forms. How long will it take for a decision and the process? Well, as far as how long it's going to take, after your forms are all in and they have your medical forms, it can take anywhere from 3 months to hear back the first time to a year and a half. And that's the first set. So altogether on your case, there's an average of about 1.5 years from the time that you apply to the time that it ends. But there are in between appeals and decisions that will be rendered, and it will go like there's a what they call a 5-level process. First one is they ask, are you working? These are the things that the process goes through. So the first time you apply, they're going to look at it and they're going to ask, is your medical condition severe? The state agency is what the Social Security government uses to make that decision. So that's in the state. They ask, is your medical condition on the list of impairments? And that's from the Blue Book that we talked about. Can you do the work you did before? That's very important because it's all about if you can do the work that you did before. And can you do any other type of work? So those are the questions. And there is an appeal process. So when you get your first decision, don't fret. You should hear something back after you apply between 6 months, like I said, and probably a year before you hear anything. In most cases, they say only 30% get approved right away. But don't worry, it's really not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So stick with it. If your claim is denied the first time, the way that it works is that you file what's called a reconsideration. And that means that you would like them to look again at the paperwork. So after that, if you're denied again, then you have an appeal. This is the time when you are denied that you want to get a lawyer. Most lawyers will not start the case for you. They will come in as soon as you've been denied. So just because you're denied doesn't mean that you can't get benefits. It means, you know, what most everybody else who applies goes through. You go and you get a lawyer. A lawyer works on what's called contingency, which means you don't need money for a retainer. You don't pay the lawyer anything up front. They usually take 25% of what you get back. And there's a cap on that. So the cap is I think it's $650. So depending what your first payment is, and if you get back pay after you are awarded, the lawyer gets paid out of that. It usually goes directly to them. And if you do not get approved, you do not owe the lawyer any money. And the lawyer will tell you that. And sometimes they won't take your case unless they think that they can win. So we talked about the appeals. The appeals are, there's 4. There's the reconsideration, and then there's the appeal where you get a lawyer. You can be denied again, and you can appeal and ask for what they call a group. And they have like a group decision. So more people will look at your case. If you are denied at that level, there's the federal level. What's good to know is that when you are approved, it will go back to the date that you became disabled. So from when you apply, just because you haven't heard for 3 years or you've been fighting for 3 years, that's where your back pay comes in. It will go back. What can you do to help? Keep your records, because a big part of this is your medical records. Your lawyer will give you paperwork to get your medical records from your doctors. Sometimes they'll send it out for you. Sometimes they'll give it to you to get filled out. But very important is that you have as much as you can get. Lab results, test results, keep a journal. And I want to talk about one other thing. If you are working, I highly suggest talking to your employer, being honest, and getting an evaluation on a consistent basis. If you are sick more and more often, if you can work less and less, you want Social Security, you want them to know that you have been trying, that you have not been able to work the amount of hours that you used to, have an evaluation encompass that, because it gives you documentation that says, hey, this good employee went from here to here. It says a lot. So keep that in mind. These are things that you want to always be doing just in case you apply. If you're interested in applying, it's really good to be ahead of the game like that. Tips for court. My favorite one. Don't lie. Whether you're going to Social Security court or to a doctor that they tell you to go to for an evaluation, don't lie, because people can tell if you're overacting, if you're, limping or sitting and groaning and you're acting like that. Most people just be yourself, just be honest, because they know. If you have anything that you need, any particular needs that you have, if the lights affect you and you're wearing a sun hat, make that known. If you need any other kind of accommodations for a wheelchair or a cane, if you're issued one, bring it, use it, wear it. A lot of illnesses are invisible. So whatever orthotics or anything that you have, I suggest this is a good time to wear them. Dressing, dress nice, dress respectful. Don't dress to the nines. Just dress like you would every day if you're going to the store. Not too much and not too little. You don't want to put on enough makeup and high heels, to the nines, so it looks like, you're ready to go party and dance. And you also don't want to go in like a slob with a dirty t-shirt and, a pair of shorts. So find a happy medium, be respectful, don't lie. They know. People want to know how much is it going to be. And the average number is $1,360 for disability. For SSI, it's lower. Most of the time, you're looking at around $750, only because they deduct certain things that the other benefits don't. So I know that the max on benefits for SSDI is like $2,650 per month. So it also comes with SSDI comes with Medicare, for if you're disabled. So, and will you get back pay? They will go back to the date that you have been rendered disabled. And once the judge sets that date and everyone agrees on it, that's your day. And your back pay will be paid whatever amount per month they award you with, times how many months it's been since your day you were disabled that they've agreed on and you filed to now, minus 5 months. So that's the way it works. They take 5 months out right away. 5 don't count. It can be pretty substantial. So good to know. You also get back pay with the $750 with SSI. It comes in a different way. It comes in installments with Social Security disability insurance, where you've been working and paying FICA and you get that money back. It comes all at once. Money, they have cards now. It can be direct deposited in your bank. They have cards that they issue, so it's paid every month, which is good. One thing I know I never knew, and I learned about not too long ago, was that auxiliary benefits. It's not just you. If you're married and you have kids, your spouse and your kids under 18 are eligible for benefits. These benefits come to about half of what you are getting. If you're issued $1,200 a month, your kid gets $600. So that's very good to know. And I'll tell you that I've talked to a lot of people. Most lawyers forget to tell their clients that their family, their auxiliary benefits are that their family's eligible for those. So keep that in mind. So it can be a big help, and it's good to know. And in order to get those, the lawyer doesn't need to do that for you. That's something that you will go down to an actual office, Social Security office, to take care of. How long will you get them? And is my case going to be reviewed? I hear a lot. Yeah, your case is going to be, almost every case I know of is reviewed sometime, some more than others. It's usually what they say, see you every 3 years. So they'll get your medical records from your doctors all over again. They'll look at them all over again. It won't take as long. You'll get an answer in about 6 months that says nothing's changed. It's ongoing. In order to pass this to be reviewed, it is not as stringent as the first time. So it's not. Don't sweat it unless you've been working. Are there any new changes? Now this is important because there are a lot of new changes in Social Security. I know that there are a lot right now that are very concerning to being eligible and to getting approved. And one of those is they used to have, in the decision-making process, they put special weight on your physician, the physician that is doing most of your care. And they took what his opinion was or her opinion was into the most consideration. Now, they are not doing that anymore. As of this past March, they will take all the opinions as long as the material and the opinions are relevant. And they don't have to explain why they picked what this one said over what that one said. That has good and bad repercussions, I think. I think maybe it might speed things up a little bit, but it also means that the PA in your office or a nurse or a nurse's assistant has as much weight as your rheumatologist did. Kind of weird, but you want to make sure you have all of the records that you can so that they have something to look at. That's real important. Also, one of the changes used to be if you were getting disability already from workman's comp or the VA, they considered that. They said, look, he's already disabled, she's already disabled. They don't do that anymore. So it means nothing if you're already getting workman's comp or VA benefits. They're starting from scratch with you. So my answer to you is it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Keep fighting. If you're really disabled, chances are you will get help one way or the other, either SSDI or SSI. Don't give up. Don't give up. And if you started to apply and you stop and you do it again, yes, they're less favorable to that, but you can still do that. You have the right to reapply. I'm going to go into questions. Let me stop share. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Julie, I got a question. Are there any provisions made for your child if your child is the one who's diagnosed with the condition in terms of disability?
Yeah, I think that works under different guidelines, but if your child is the one with the disability, they get special benefits. So they would keep getting theirs. And if you mean like if you're disabled too?
Not necessarily me, just like if my child is the one that has the autoimmune, has lupus or.
Yeah. Yeah, they would go through the process as well, and I believe it's less vigorous for children, but they're entitled to the benefits. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Julie,
Yeah.
do they take into consideration your assets when it comes to paying out the disability?
They only do for SSI. So for the financially based benefits, they do. They will consider your assets and if you're married, what your spouse is bringing in to the household. So yes, that will count. But for SSDI, no, no. The assets don't matter. You can own a house. You can own 5 houses.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Julie.
Yeah.
The sources of income that you mentioned, does it always have to be wages? Could the income source be from someplace else, like maybe a pension or alimony or any other source beside wages?
Right. That will count. It may not count at 100%, but it will count for SSI for financial based benefits. It won't count for disability SSDI benefits. For SSDI benefits, they do not take into account anything that you also have coming in. That's strictly based on your work credits.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Julie,
Yes.
if you're able to work, but you cannot work 40 hours per week, are you still considered eligible to get disability?
If you're able to work,
But you cannot work the 40 hours per week.
as long as you don't make more than 1170 a month, 1170.
Okay.
So you can, what I suggest when you're working like that, chances are you're probably working less and less as time goes on. Document that, journal that, have evaluations done at work that reflect that, because that will prove what you are saying. You are saying that I can't do what I used to do. This is all that I can do now. I'm working my way down to less than part-time hours here, and it's getting worse. So you want to document that. But yes, you can still be eligible if you are working part-time and you are not making over 1170 a month.
Would they deduct the difference from what you're making from the 1170?
Yeah. Yeah, they will. They'll consider that income for SSI. Yeah, they will. They'll do all these funky figures and come up with a different amount. They'll deduct a certain amount of what you're bringing in if it's income. Yeah.
Okay.
And afterwards too, they have work programs. So even if you're approved on disability, they have work programs where you kind of can go a little bit back into the workplace. SSI though, wait, let me see if I can get this straight. With SSI, you can still earn up to $1,500 a month after you're approved, even though they'll change the check a little bit if you're working, but they won't disqualify you. So that's good to know.
Okay.
I know you were talking about how many different places can help you to apply for disability. But I do know that certain doctors' offices will actually help people with the accessibility parking decals. Do doctors' offices also help with applying for disability?
Not that I know of. They will answer there are forms that you will download online that disability will ask of your doctor about their patient. Can they do this? Can they do that? how severe is this? What condition do they have? And sometimes those will go straight to your doctor. Sometimes you'll be the one to bring it to your doctor. That's the kind of help that your doctor can do. I've actually come into the opposite, where doctors refuse to fill out those forms, and you really just have to stay on them. And it's kind of good in a way that all these doctors, their opinions will count, because the more doctors you have that you have information coming from them, the more information they have to work with about your medical condition. I don't know if doctors' offices helping fill out these forms in particular, but as far as like the handicap thing, yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah, I have a question. You were saying that that this is federal money, and in addition to receiving the federal money, state money is also available. Is that correct?
Well, the SSDI is what you put in while you were working on your FICA taxes, FICA, federal. And that comes from those taxes. The disability, that's SSI, is based on financial need, and yeah, that money comes from the state.
SSI is from the state. SSI is not federal. Are you sure?
No.
All right.
Maybe.
Okay. We're not sure about that. Because you did say that there were extras available from the state. So I would think that one thing has nothing to do with the other. I would think that a person who is in need, who has a disability, should get as many benefits as possible from the federal money, and then should also seek benefits from whatever money is available from the state.
Right. Well, I think what I meant was that some states have supplements to that SSI where some states don't. So some states have special help, like special help on prescriptions, special help on your utility bills, programs that are work in coordination with SSI.
Do you have any suggestions how someone with a disability can find the benefits available to him or her provided by the state? I'm sure each state is different, but.
Right. Yeah. Well, in order to apply, you fill out, it's the same form, the Social Security form that you're applying for, because Social Security Administration administers both programs. So you're basically sending it to them, and then they hand out some of the responsibility to the state. Like the state is the ones who make the decision, even though it's a federal program. I know that sounds strange, but that's how they work. The state, the offices, the the courts, administrative courts for SSA are all mostly on the state level. So even though they're federal, they kick it to state level Social Security to make the decision.
Okay, another question. You said that with these benefits, Medicare benefits are also provided. Did I hear with SSI?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct. So if you're an adult and you're in a state that doesn't offer Medicaid benefits and you can't get them because you're an adult, if you are deemed disabled and you are awarded SSI, you are put on Medicaid.
Oh, Medicaid, because I think you said Medicare before, but it's Medicaid, you're saying.
It's Medicaid, yeah. SSDI, you go on Medicare, and SSI, you go on Medicaid.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I think that's probably all the questions we have for now. Thank you all for coming. SSA.gov to apply, and don't give up. Do not give up. Biggest lesson. Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.